Rockets trade rumors are escalating, and I tell you what, this has fans fired up as a brand new report has the Houston Rockets grabbing one of the best young shooters in the entire NBA. Today we break down the trade and whether or not it's a good idea for Houston. Welcome into Rockets Digest. I'm Jace Andrews. We are oh so close to 1,500 subscribers, and today is the day if you have not already subscribed, because Mavericks Digest hit me up and said there's no way y'all are reaching 1,500 subscribers by the end of the week. And I told him, we'll do you one better to prove we're the best team in Texas. We're going to hit 1,500 subscribers by Wednesday night. So today, if you have not subscribed, it's the day to prove Mavericks Digest wrong and show that we are the number one team in Texas. Hit that subscribe button. I got faith in y'all. Let's get into this report as a new NBA mock trade has the Rockets acquiring all-star point guard in a blockbuster deal. Now, mock trade season is obviously here. We have been pretty much all the way in at this point, given the Rockets fell in round one to the Golden State Warriors. And with their overachieving effort this past season, 52 wins, second in the Western Conference, it's a big question of what do the Rockets do? Do they try and build off this and keep the team they have? Or do they maybe go out, get some pieces to try and make this team better from outside rather than within? And that's been a big debate within a lot of Rockets fans, but I think we have all united that a point guard would be amazing and Trae Young would be the perfect fit for this franchise. Let's go into our first quote here, again, all from Jed Katz on Rockets SI. He says, quote, "The biggest issue during the postseason series against the Golden State Warriors was the lack of offense. Although point guard Fred VanVleet came alive in games 4, 5, and 6, he was generally inefficient for the regular season, shooting 37.8% from the field and 34.5% from three." And he's got a good point. The shooting in Golden State was just not good. That series was largely impacted due to the Rockets' inability to score the basketball, and that's a big thing. Now, was that a problem throughout the entire season? Yeah, but did the defense kind of make up for it most of the time? Yes, that was a big thing throughout the regular season. The defense was spectacular. And not to say it wasn't against Golden State. However, when you're playing a team of that high caliber, and especially in the playoffs when a lot of players kind of rise to the occasion, especially on a Warriors team who has been to the playoffs so many times, and while they didn't have Clay or, a couple of their other big players from that run, Steph is still there. Pajemski shot well, and ultimately Draymond Green did what Green does, and he locked down the Rockets in a lot of different ways offensively. And so, how do the Rockets fix it? Well, maybe they get a new point guard. Maybe they try and switch it up. Obviously, Fred VanVleet, he's on that expiring deal, and you have that team option that you can just say, hey, sayonara, we're not going to pay you this $44.9 million. You can go to free agency, and we're going to try and trade for a brand new young and upcoming shooter in Trae Young, who, I got to be honest, has been kind of left to die in Atlanta besides that one Eastern Conference postseason run. Of course, Trae Young is the guy we're talking about today, and I like a lot of what he brings to the table. His shooting is there, his ball handling is there, his assists are there, and I think he just fits with the Rockets in so many different ways. He's still relatively pretty young. Obviously, he played his college basketball at Oklahoma, so just up the road from us, a state up, so I think he would just fit in so many different aspects very well. Plus, you really need a shooter, and Trae Young can light up the night when he gets hot. So that would just be big to have on this Rockets team. And again, let's go back to that Fred VanVleet talk, because it's such a big thing when you talk about Fred and what he exactly brings to the Rockets. However, what he also is costing them. Quote, "Given his $44.9 million team option, the Rockets could look to move on from VanVleet this summer and find an upgrade." Now, while superstars such as Giannis, Antetokounmpo, and Kevin Durant are heavily linked to the team, one underrated all-star could also find himself on the market this summer. We all know Trae Young is that guy. Now, the thing with the Hawks, there was a lot of different connections with them, but they kind of have been in an interesting situation. They made the Eastern Conference Finals, but since then, Trae's kind of been left to rot. And they say this, quote, "Atlanta Hawks star Trae Young has dealt with mediocre teams around him since their 2021 Eastern Conference Finals run. The Hawks have failed to put together a good enough team for them to finish ahead of the play-in tournament, and it might be time for a change." Now, big thing here, they did get rid of their GM. They're kind of switching things up. Now, it just seems like it's kind of time for this Atlanta Hawks team to kind of swoop in and basically say, you know what, it's time for us to maybe make a deal here and ship off some of our stars to start building a upper tier roster. And man, what do they have in Trae Young here? 24.2 points. His assist numbers, like I said, are off the charts. Double-double averaging. He's almost 27 years old. Obviously, he has a lot of stuff you like. His field goal percentage, upwards of 400, with his three-point percentage, around 340. And I think there's a couple things to note about his threes. He has a good all-time shooting percentage from threes, but he takes a lot of them. He does take a ton of threes, which in some ways I don't mind. I kind of want the Rockets to take a lot more threes. Not that they were taking, not a good amount last year, but when you look at some of these teams in the past history of winning championships, the Boston Celtics shot a ton of threes. The Dallas Mavericks last year, even though they didn't win, they shot a ton of threes. The Thunder this year, they shoot a ton of threes. The Pacers, the Knicks, they shoot a lot of threes. So the Rockets, I think, maybe follow suit here. You get Trae Young, you're going to upgrade that three-point percentage, and you're going to upgrade the three-point taken percentage as well. Now, I mentioned that GM. Here's a big reason why that everything could pretty much work, saying, quote, Atlanta recently parted ways with their general manager, Landry Fields, appointing Ansi Sali as the position. With a new face running the show, the Hawks could look to finally get out of the middle of the pack and rebuild, which would likely involve moving Young for a haul. Luckily, Houston has many pieces to spare and can get a major upgrade at point guard, end quote. Now, this is the video that you've been waiting for, or this is the time of the video, I should say, where we get into that mock trade. Who's involved in it? What are the Rockets giving up? Well, without further ado, let's just talk about it. The Houston Rockets will receive Trae Young, and the Atlanta Hawks would get Jalen Green, Reed Sheppard, this year's number 10 pick and number 59 pick, plus a 2027 first-round pick via Phoenix and a 2028 pick swap with Houston. So there's your trade. Kind of digest it here. Look at it. Does this feel like a good trade? Is this something you'd be open to getting done with the Atlanta Hawks? I want you to let me know down in the comment section. Now, we talk about this trade from a logistics standpoint. Jalen Green has a big contract, so you're getting him off the books as well as you're not taking Fred VanVleet. You immediately get under that first apron while also, in my mind, upgrading your shooting with Trae Young. Now, Jalen Green is still so young, and I think there's mixed feelings on whether Rockets fans want to trade him or they want to keep him. I'm in kind of a middle boat here of if there is a good trade and Jalen Green is involved, that's fine. If there is a trade where it's a little bit mediocre and Jalen Green's involved, I don't know. I'm not willing to do that just yet. But at the same time, he's got a big contract. You bring in Trae Young, who, again, fits the mold perfectly for this Houston Rockets team. It would just be amazing to see really a lot of what this team could do with a shooter like Trae Young. I'd just be so excited to see what that team looked like. It would be hard giving up Jalen Green. I'm not going to front. He has been great since he joined the Rockets about 4 years ago. He's only 23 years old. I mean, he is still so young. He'll be 24 by the end of next season. Averaged 21 points per game this year. His lowest season was like a 17-point average. His field goal percentage, his three-point percentage is actually better this year than Trae Young. But again, we saw his woes in the playoffs, and we've seen sometimes some woes in some bigger moments. Trae Young is a great shooter. Trae Young fits the mold. He is still young, and his contract when you're getting rid of Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green fits perfectly. And the biggest thing to me, and the reason why, if you're looking at this from a straight swap here, Green to Trae Young, Young's a point guard. You need a point guard. You need a ball handler. You need a guy who can assist a lot. And Trae Young has one of the best passes in the entire league. He is always getting good shots. He is always making sure his teammates get good shots. It's a very much of a win situation for this Trae Young trade. Now, another piece of the puzzle here is giving up Reed Sheppard, who I love. I do like him. The problem with Reed is he was a number 3 pick. It's great. But he just hasn't really played that much. He hasn't been the guy that I think has come onto the scene and be like, oh yeah, he's going to be with the Rockets for the next 5-10 years. It just hasn't been that way. And I know it's still young. He's still so young. But at the same time, you're in a win now window. I think Trae Young gets you into what is a very much win now window, and I would argue makes you one of, if not the favorites for the Western Conference. and in turn gets you into the finals and makes you one of the favorites for the NBA Finals next season as well. So it's tough giving up Jalen Green. It's tough going to give up Reed Sheppard. But besides that, the picks I can handle. I don't really need the picks this year, to be honest. I've been on the train the entire time we've gotten the number 10 pick. I don't want it. I don't care. I don't think anything in that number 10 pick is going to help us. The number 59 Mr. Irrelevant pick, don't care about that either. I'm out. I don't really want or see any potential in using those 2 draft picks. I would way rather trade them, even if it's just for more draft picks. I would way rather trade them this year. Now, there is still so much to talk about with Trae Young, and I think in some ways we overlook what Jalen Green has been able to do for this team and trading away what a young star that was built up by the Rockets would do to the organization. But at the same time, it's a good thing for the Rockets. Saying, quote, the Rockets would ultimately get their franchise point guard who aligns more with their current timeline than VanVleet. Houston can decline his $44.9 million team option and make him a free agent, but it would save money with Young being brought in, who is clearly a better player. Judd Katz, Rockets SI. You can't deny that. Fred VanVleet, and I've seen the comments, you don't really want him back. I think he has a lot of good value. I wouldn't mind having him back. I think it'd be great if he was back. But I do know that if you're getting Trae Young and replacing him with Trae Young, 100%, I am taking that deal and running away with it. Now, Jalen Green, Reed Sheppard, the picks, it's all an interesting situation here for the Houston Rockets and whether or not they want to do that, or if they want to maybe say, let's keep this team going. Let's try and maybe make sure that this team is in the right place in so many different facets. And I think that's the hard part for this general manager, Rafael Stone, is that it's about making the right moves. You know, the team has done well in the past 3 years. Udoka was a great move. The draft has been great. Alperen Şengün, getting him from OKC in that trade. Drafting Jalen Green, having Amen Thompson. I mean, this team has made the right moves, but this is probably the biggest offseason for Rafael Stone to decide what this team is going to look like for the next 5 or 10 years. We go into the final quote here saying, overall, it's a win-win trade for the teams that could look to go in opposite directions. The Rockets get their star point guard coming into an elite young core, while the Hawks have so many pieces to build for the future and become a playoff team once again down the line. Trae Young as a Houston Rocket would be so fun to watch, and I think, at least to me, seems like a pretty good player that both fans want, fits with the program, can shoot well, fixes some of the problems that the Rockets had last season, and on top of which, he just is, what in my mind, a winner. Yes, he has been on some mediocre teams with the Atlanta Hawks, but in the Eastern Conference Finals, when they played back in 2021, I believe, he was the offense. He was making shots, and we know how good Trae Young can be. We've seen him play to top-tier abilities, and in some of his best seasons, look to be up there with the Jason Tatums, the Shays, the Luka Doncic's. He can be that level of player. And if you're giving up Jalen Green, who, again, 4 years into the league, has not looked maybe as good as we would want it to, still good, but not as good as you want him to, maybe it's time to move him for somebody who looks as advertised over there in Atlanta. I appreciate y'all all watching today. Jace Andrews here, and can't thank you enough for all the support on the videos. Let me know what you're thinking about this Trae Young trade. Obviously, it's a very much toss-up here. I know the fan base is somewhat split on Jalen Green. I'm going to give you my take again. I want Trae Young. That's what I would like. I would want him on this team. If Jalen Green has to go, sure, that's fine. I would love to have Trae on this team. But that does it for me. I appreciate y'all watching, and we will see you next time here on Rockets Digest. Peace out.